Might put some light on here. How's it going, everyone? Hello, hello, and welcome back to a new episode of Inside Fnatic's Brush. I am your host, Matt Scott, and it's been some time. It's been some time since we've been here in the podcast. I'm just trying to make sure the volume is not too high before we get going. New episode, new part of the season's finals this time. This is it. This is the final stretch, or almost the final stretch if you don't call Worlds, part of the season, depending on who makes it. But potentially could be the final stretch for some of the teams participating in the season's finals. For those who are still confused, throughout the three splits, winter, spring, and summer, teams have gathered some points. The top 6 most points have made it to this playoff stage, and we will see what happens next with some of the games who have already started last week, which was the winners bracket, where I personally didn't realize that it had started already. So usually I like to do an episode before an event starts. Forgot about it, but luckily Fnatic wasn't playing, so not the worst in the end. We're getting there. So today we'll do a little recap of what happened last week. We'll talk about Fnatic and the losers bracket run in front of us, and also about expectation. Obviously, it's going to be a short one. I'm not going to lie to you guys, because, well, there's only been 2 best of 5s, rather short ones as well, and Fnatic hasn't played yet, and we haven't heard much from them in any case. What's this? Trimby on engaged champs is sus? Nah. Let's not go there already. Let them play a first best of 5 before we get to those conclusions. But yeah, that will be the subjects for today. So, jumping into the LEC, we've already had the first part of the winners bracket of G2 BDS, 3-1 victory for G2. Mad versus Excel, a very surprising 3-0 win for Mad Lions. We'll talk about that in just a second. And for this weekend, we'll have Excel, Fnatic, BDS, and SK. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's gonna take, let's see, I think since we have 4 seeds, it will be what? The winners of lower bracket who will be going to Worlds, if I'm not mistaken. So it's 1 win for Worlds, 2 wins for Montpellier, right? For the losers bracket. Mad at Worlds aware. I mean, yeah, let's start with that. 3-0 Mad Lions, right? I think it's safe to say that anyone who went in to the playoffs, the season's finals, didn't put a single cent on Mad Lions. First of all, winning against Excel, but even less going 3-0. Excel obviously looked much stronger at the end of summer. They built themselves throughout that split. Got a second place, even though they got crushed by G2. They had a very strong best of 5 the first time they met, so they definitely look like a solid second place. And what happened there is that, how would I say this? It's the Mad Lions we were expected with the current meta finally showed up, with notably Engage on Hillisang, but um, Ilyoya's champion pool expertise really came through, and maybe it was also like a better read on the meta overall. Um, it was the best of three, even though it was a 3-0, wasn't really a one directional series. The first game was definitely in my alliance favor, and I think overall they did have the better drafts going into it. They had, how would I say this, the strongest meta picks, if that makes sense. So they had the Rel, they had Ivern, and on the other side, it's like Limit gets the Alistar because that's his main champion, but the core key response into Azir just feels so outdated. I'm not too sure what happened on the side of XL, because XL usually drafts rather nice, and I wasn't necessarily a fan of that first draft, and it really reflected in the game. For those who had the time to watch, um, early game was quite even. I believe in terms of objective, it's like one kill each, one Drake soul on each side, and Mad Lions just kind of accelerates it. And what it was is that even in like the close fights that XL should have won, because of the sustain and the engage in the front line, Mad Lions just, even if Mad Lions were making positional mistakes, they're still getting bailed out by the structure of their comp. And then it was just a case of better team fights overall. Karzi played a very, very solid Ezreal, and his Ezreal is like usually pretty decent, so that's a good bet to have on Karzi as well. But the what do I want to say? The biggest difference that I found this time was that Mad Lions, the moment they had a lead, they finally kept it. And that was a big issue for them previously, like during the summer split, is that very few times were they able to really convert a lead properly into a win. And this time, they actually smashed it. Like it was like nice to see, because like even if you don't necessarily support the team, it just gets frustrating to watch these teams who can't hold it to an advantage and make something of it. It's like, you've won the early mid game, just fold it now. Just bring it home, destroy the Nexus. And Mad Lions was always like falling on those moments. So first game, rather clean. I believe they end below 30 minutes, which usually is a good indicator of a clean game, I would say. As in, the processes to close the game and make sure that you've actually snowballed your lead. Second game could have been XL's game, because XL had such a massive advantage around the 15th minute, I believe. Like this time, XL gets the better picks. They get Rel, they get Azir, which seems to be quite contested. They get Sejuani, which Sejuani Rel combination just locks you down. So pretty good. On the other side, they get the Ivern on Elyoya, and they get Sivir this time, which can make sense seeing the level of CC that there's on Excel in that comp. And again, it's Alistair picked this time for Heliosang, which again, engaged champs is exactly what you want. However, this time, Excel pulls off the Mad Lions and just like I can't remember exactly. I'd have to, let me check very quickly. I just want to watch the second game again because I just remembered that they had the lead. Yeah, so 16th minute. It's almost a 6k gold lead with 2 turrets to none. One Drake. No, it's gonna be 2 Drakes for 2 Drakes, but a second Herald. So it's looking tidy for Excel at that point. But when was it again? I should have prepared my timestamps for that one, I know. I just remembered that, yeah, there we go. There's a top lane fight, which completely goes wrong because Odo Amne gets caught for some reason. Abadage tries to save it, but nothing much happens. It's a trade in the end. And bit by bit, Mad Lions is actually allowed back into the game. Even when Heliosang trying his best to end here, doesn't get caught. They fight for Baron. Yeah, and there they get sort of closed down because Niski is here, prevents Limit from escaping. It's an all-out brawl. Mad Lions sort of capitalize on that. Open mid turret. Heliosang gets caught again. Classic. Where is it that I'm trying to find it again? Because here, like, it's 6k gold advantage. Baron on Excel. 5 turrets to 4. Excel does the engage. But Limit goes too far, gets killed. Chasey. Okay, nice Gnar ults here. I guess they just get caught one after the other. Good job from Chasey here. Ooh, misses the wallop. Oh, and that's the TP. That's the TP from Niski. Who tries to do something here. Stays alive. And they just continue chasing this whole time. Yeah, it's just the 2 members of Excel. Can't get anything done. Odoamne tries to come in. Wow, it was, yeah, very messy from Excel, who's usually, well, I didn't say usually, but during summer were a bit more precise with their team fighting, and there they're just squandered all over the place. He's just trying to fight like 3 different people, or left, right, and center. They're trying to set up traps, but it's not working. And yeah, it's just very weird. Excel's just losing fights, even though they're at a numbers advantage. They get poked down. And they lose Baron. That's where it happens. They can't contest. Very good team fight afterwards. They clean most of Mad Lions. Wow, it's crazy because it was only a week ago, but this game feels like it was way further down. Yeah, it's just, yeah. It just turns into late game Sivir gaming. And they don't close the fight. It was close to closing the fight. But yeah. Yeah, it's just Excel just not being very tidy in the way they're playing. And the scaling on Mad Lion's side. It's like every time I stop on the frame, Heliosang gets caught. That's amazing. Like Excel gets a second Baron leg. What happened? I think that's what it is, because Carsey is like 10, 3, and 2. Mind that, Patrick is 10, 2, and 4. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's in. There's no. It's just about who gets the last best team fight. And it happens to be Mad Lions. You get a team fight on the top lane. Around Baron. That's insane. That's insane to me. That Excel even lost this double Baron. Map advantage for the early and mid game. And they couldn't close it out. And I believe the last one was it was straightforward, that one, wasn't it? Was it also a brawl? Oh, that one was, yeah, pretty clean as well. A bit longer than the first game, but yeah. So, you know, looking at that, it looks like the meta hasn't changed much. We're still getting the same the Azir, LeBlanc, Alistar, Rel, Ivern. Some interesting picks though. We've got Chasey, who brought out a Camille against the Gnar. I mean, I guess makes sense. But yeah, Mad Lions just looking much better than the end of summer split. Now they've qualified for Worlds, which pretty insane. And they'll be facing G2. When will that be? Let me see the schedule again. We don't have the schedule for it. It's not this weekend. Is it going to be on Monday? Shouldn't be on Monday, right? It'll be next week. I'm not sure anymore. Are they gonna pack like a bunch of games one after the other? This is so confusing. Riot wanted to change their format, and everyone's even more confused than ever. That is amazing. Hello, Fran. How's it going? Thank you for joining me. Yeah. Moving on to the G2 BDS game. And that's another game with a surprise, because I didn't expect BDS to get a single game. Now, I will say that the one game that BDS got was when G2 was playing the Evelyn, which, you know, fair play to them to try new stuff. Evelyn isn't really that insane right now, considering the current jungle pool, but, you know, they still tried it. They got destroyed, but then G2 just went back to their ways. Although there was the third, was it the third or fourth game? I think it was the third game where BDS was ahead and they just threw their lead like crazy. It was the fourth game. It was the fourth game, wasn't it? Yeah. BDS ahead, 3k gold, and then yeah. That's the problem when you're playing against G2, right? Is that you cannot give them a single inch. You cannot give them a single inch. You just have to constantly steamroll them. And the issue, right, is that right now, Nautilus is the flavor of the day. And with that, Makix has full access to, you know, to engage tools. And Makix is probably the best Nautilus in EU. So this guy exploits the sort of bullshit Qs that look like they don't hit, but they still hit. Like, he does max range stuff. Oh yeah, and it was the game where Adam was playing Jax, and this guy does not know how to play Jax. It's to a point where if he doesn't play his Darius or his Olaf, I don't think he's doing anything viable. Yeah. It's like G2 will walk all over you if you don't stay ahead. They'll take any inch you give them, and they'll make it into a mile. And then the issue has been that BDS was too sloppy in their management of their advantage. Like, the only game they got was because the weird Evelyn pick that Yike didn't manage to, make work. But yeah, then it's like Adam playing Jax, and the guy, the moment he sees someone, he's hitting the counter strike. But if you hit the counter strike, then people are gonna leave. This guy is flashing on. I'm just watching the replays. It's absolutely criminal the way Adam plays Jax. The moment you feel like Adam is a good top laner, he does shit like this. And it just shows you how limited he is of a player. He covers it well with what do you call it? With his OTP picks, which can force some bans. But apart from that, there's nothing to write home really. Yeah. Or it's just a better comp as well. Taking the Trundle into like the Maokai. I guess it's a great champ for the early game. So if you wanna snowball, your lanes like the Kaisa and stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's not much to say about this series. It's just a situation of who's going to be able to take an advantage on G2 and not let go of that advantage. That's the only thing it can come down to. Or if G2 decides to get too experimental and allows you to, get a win from something where they're feeling a bit quirky on their picks. But apart from that, not too sure about what's going to be achieved here. But yeah, that was the first week of season's finals. Going into lower bracket, XL versus Fnatic, BDS SK. It's going to be interesting games. What side, what form of SK are we gonna see, and what form of Fnatic are we gonna see? And that actually brings us to my next point, which is Fnatic and little to no communication or rumors we've had from their preparation. There's been no tweets as of recent. No rumors of like scrim's going well or scrim's not going well. Preparing calmly, so I'd say it's fine. Like, no news is good news, but can't wait for Badam versus the Shy. I mean, if BDS beats SK, maybe, but it's gonna be a rough one for him if he if he goes against Asian top laners, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, the only information we have for Fnatic obviously is based off of their last games, which, you know, overall, summer split was much better for Fnatic. Great improvement. Just, you know, some drafts weren't always easy to execute. Some players which were a bit over eager, which, you know, is the identity of this Fnatic. But still, third place, considering everything we've went through this season, it's a massive jump. So what we can hope here, obviously, is that we have improvements across the board, both in terms of drafts, but as well in terms of how would I say, team play. Because team play was very good, I feel like, at the beginning of the split, kind of dwindled towards the end. I don't know if that's because of, you know, the draft issues or what, if, you know, how that's impacting the way the boys are playing, but we were still getting some interesting pick, like we got Razork on Ivern, things like this. We know Oscar can, you know, play these bruiser type champions as well, which really seem to be the flavor. He has a very good Gnar, and there we've seen a few Gnar games this tournament, so there's things to look forward to. The real question is, how are we going to fare against Excel, right? And in that sense, it's super hard to evaluate for two reasons, or three reasons maybe. First one is that we saw how we played against Excel last time, and we got wrecked. We got absolutely wrecked. There was just no equivalent, really, as to what happened. I don't know why it's not showing me more VODs, but I'm trying to go back to the previous stuff here. Why is it showing me EMEA? Boom. It was a free one, sorry. I don't know why I thought it was a 3-0. It was a free one. But like, it started super rough, because I think we were 2-0 behind, right? And even during our win, things was tight. Like, it wasn't a clean win, right? It was very close. The gold was still even at 28 minutes into the game, and it took like Baron, a good team fight, to win it all. It's like Zeri seems to be back in flavor, but at the time Zeri wasn't such a crazy pick in my opinion. I don't know. It's just very hard to evaluate. But yeah, Razork pulled off his Kindred, which is you know, it's a bit like a Piausik special. But yeah, that was a crazy series. I'm watching it again right now. Smart ulti here while taking the inhib. But yeah, the issues were it felt like we didn't have much response in terms of the drafts. Um, the fourth game we should have won. We were ahead. I'm just so curious about what happened. Oh yeah. Although they just fucked everyone here. That's crazy. It's just Ivern, dude. What a fucking champion. It's madness. Damn, I'm just remembering those games. How close it was. Yeah, friggin' Patrick Scalista did. So hard to manage. Well, you know, when I look at this game again, how close it was, and Excel's form, depending on how they show up, it could be a different ball game. Going to this. The only thing is that we just have zero idea of the practice that Fnatic has gone through, which surprises me quite a bit because usually we always hear stuff. Players are leaking, you know, drafts and such, but not drafts, but scrim results. But yeah, it's been a very quiet one, which, you know, sometimes is also nice because it can put you in a in a bad mindset or a good mindset, and you get overhyped and it gets tragic. So might as well hear nothing for now, you know, and see how the boy plays. Again, I think that there will be a lot of space for improvement. I know Humanoid was sick. We heard that from the latest video. But then again, the videos are, you know, made far in advance. So I'm pretty sure, you know, he's feeling better now and they've been able to practice even when he was sick. I'm just thinking that they're taking their precautions to avoid having more players sick amongst the roster. So, you know, all in all, safety precautions have been taken. I'm sure Humanoid is feeling better now. He's gonna feel invigorated, and most important of all, if you guys are going to Montpellier, we really need to see them in Montpellier, which means 2 best of 5s need to be won. And I will go as far as to say, if we beat Excel, whoever of SK or BDS, I think is a much easier opponent for Fnatic than Excel, right? So I feel like tomorrow is gonna be the biggest game so far, if we obviously make it all the way to finals. But yeah, I'm just, you know, hoping that we get an exciting Fnatic on Sunday and we make it as far as possible. It'll be very disappointing to not win the best of 5 on Sunday, because that just means end of the season. And it's a bit tragic because in Excel's current form, I think it would be interesting to see them at Worlds, right? To have Odo Amne, Patrick at Worlds. I think that would be a fun roster, but it's pretty much Fnatic or Excel doesn't make it to Worlds here. It's It's a very cruel format, and either of BDS or SK to Worlds, at least play-ins for what it's worth. But yeah, so big game for Fnatic. Everything to show for, and yeah, I just hope whatever happens, that the fans don't go too crazy. But we know that won't happen, right? When I see some of the top fans already, sort of preparing themselves to flame, and they're like, they already have their crosshair on Dardo, on Razork, on Humanoid. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, just wishing the best for the boys on Sunday. It's going to be an exciting one. And there'll be everything to play for on that date for a World qualification and then for Montpellier. So yeah, not much to say about Fnatic, unfortunately. We don't have much information. Hopefully if they win their game, there'll be a longer segment on Fnatic. But for now, it will be the end of the podcast. I told you it was going to be a short one. It's not the hour-long podcast as we usually have. But yeah, guys, enjoyed the games this weekend. Just realizing I need to change the Twitter logo. Unfortunately, I have to put that ugly X. That's how long I haven't touched the podcast, is that I haven't rebranded some of the socials. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. It's been a long time. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully with some good news. And as usual, guys, always Fnatic. Bye bye, see ya.